All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Real Patriots Fishing here. I have a comparison of two of the top kayaks out on the market today. That's the Old Town 120 Pro and the Native Hammer. That's right, we're gonna do a head-to-head comparison of these two kayaks. I've been in the Old Town 120 Pro for over a year. I know how it fishes, I know the pros, I know the cons, I know pretty much everything there is to know about that kayak. I just picked up the Native Hammer, possibly gonna probably be switching to that kayak, more than likely 99% I am. I haven't been in the kayak a ton. I've been out in the Native Hammer and haven't fished out of it, but I've pedaled it around. But I have both of them in my garage still, and I'm gonna do a side-by-side comparison of showing you the pros and cons, the differences, the similarities between the two kayaks in case you're in the market for a new kayak and you're kind of torn between which pedal drive system you should go with. This isn't going to be an Old Town bash or a Native promo video. I've paid for both of these kayaks with no promotion, no sponsors, out of my own pocket. I'm not even monetized, and so this is all out of my own pocket. I'm just trying to give you guys an honest review and honest feedback of my experience in these two kayaks. Again, your preferences might be a little bit different for this kayak. You may like one of them or another one over another, or you may not like these two brands at all and you may go with something else, and that's your prerogative, your opinion. You're entitled to it, just as everybody else is going to have an opinion on these two kayaks. But stay tuned. I'm going to walk through them with you guys. And again, thank you for subscribing to the channel. I want you guys to drop your questions, your comments. You know, we're not sponsored. We're not pushing one product over another product. We just want to share our experiences on the water. And even if you're not into kayak fishing, which if you're watching this, you probably are. You might be a little bit an addict, to be honest. But even if you just want to talk pure fishing, we like talking about everything pure fishing, regardless if you're fishing out of a boat or a yak. But that's Hooked on Yak Fishing over at Facebook. It's a new group we just started. We'd love for you guys to join and share your experiences. We like to consider ourselves novice at this and learning as we go. And there's a lot of people in the same boat, and sometimes knowledge just isn't shared freely. You know, people want to hold on to their trade secrets and their trade baits and stuff like that. That's not what we're about. We're about teaching, helping, learning. There's always something you can learn from somebody else, and that's what we're here to do. So again, we're going to give you this review on this kayak. We're going to talk about it. I do not have it fully rigged out yet. That's going to be in the near future, in the next couple of days. I will probably do a full out rigged video after that. But stay tuned, here we go. All right, guys, so we got the kayaks side by side here. The Old Town 120 Pro PDL and the Native Hammer. This kayak just launched a few months ago. This kayak launched last year, a little over a year actually, and it's been out for a little bit. So you guys can see side by side right off the bat. It's kind of hard to see, but the Native Hammer is 1210, which is 12 feet 10 inches, whereas the Old Town 120 PDL Pro is set at a even 12 foot. So there's a little bit of a difference there. If you kind of look at the general hole design, you can see, if you kind of stand back a little bit, you can see that the Native Hammer is a little bit more sleek, a little more compact as far as gunnels go, whereas in the Old Town 120 Pro, it's a little bit more of a wider, deeper body, especially that front end. And then the gunnels are a little bit deeper as well compared to the Hammer. If you look at the gunnels over here, they're not as deep. They've kind of raised the floor. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start from the back, work our way to the middle, and come to the front. So let's start right off with the rudder systems. So Old Town's rudder system sits on top of their kayak, and you flip it down with the rudder handle on the side right there. All right, it's an upgraded from the old version that used to go left to right. Now it goes up, down. Okay, so Rudder system, all the cables are run internally. It flips down, it hangs off the back. On the Native Hammer, the rudder system is underneath the kayak, a little bit forward. So if you're going to mount an NK 180 or any other type of motor, power pole, anything back here, you can basically mount all the way across the back of the bow, versus here, you only have the two options. I was running with an offset plate when I had the NK 180 on there, but that's the differences in the rudder. Now, I will say turning radius, the Hammer wins hands down. Being able to lean on top of that rudder a little bit further under that hangs straight down, I tell you, this thing will pretty much turn just sitting still with the back end barely moving around. The Old Town PDL 120 Pro, you have to kind of get more of a running start and move, and it's got a good turn radius, but just not as good as the Native Hammer. And again, the boat's a little bit wider, the boat's a little bit slower, so that makes sense. Not that you can't turn where you need to or do what you need to do, but that's how it's laid out, right? That's the differences between the two. If you're considering which one turns tighter, Native Hammer. All right, rear tank wells. So these are pretty similar tank wells as far as access points go. So with the Old Town, you have your through hole wiring kit. You have your access point here. This is big enough for a black pack with a battery in the back, a large 31 group battery in the back. These two things are made to strap down the battery. Comes with a bungee net system, just like standard kayaks, rails all the way across to the back of the bow, and then two rod holders. Going back over to the Native Hammer, we have multiple different access points. We have this through hole connector kit. We also have this little thing here. It's another way to get access. You can store trash, do whatever you want. You know, put your adult beverage in there to hide it, whatever you want to do. Another difference in the back here is Native has got these handles here with the rubber grips. If you have to move the Old Town by the back, you really have no way of gripping it. You kind of have to grab underneath. The handles are under here. It's not handles, it's just roto-molded under here so you can grab it. So it's hard to get a grip with that. One, your hand is slipping on the plastic, and two, if you move over here, you can grab it up, you can grab it down. Multiple ways to do it. You also have all your access points here. If you wanted to drill these out and install your rudder cables for your NK 180, you can do that as well and run the Wizard. Looking at this hole, the back of the boat, back of the kayak boat, again, two rod holders, one on each side. You have some scuppers, you have a place for your black pack, and then you still have this all open on top of this rear battery hatch. So if you open this hatch, you'll see you have all this extra space in here. You have a through hole to do your wiring. You have a way to strap down your battery. This tray comes out to give you access underneath the kayak. And it just kind of stows away real nice and neatly to give you that extra storage space. Whereas over here, if we're going to look at battery storage, you're pretty limited, right? They have this battery spot. I absolutely hate this. I think this is like where Old Town really missed the boat, really. You can only fit a very small battery in here. I mean, it's tiny. Nobody is really running batteries that small. So I think they missed the boat on that one. I think they could have changed this section in here, dropped this down. Again, different kayaks, so different preferences. I'm sure there's some guys that put batteries in there and absolutely love it. Me personally, I hate this space of this kayak right here. It's one of the biggest reasons I'm getting rid of it, is because from here to here is wasted, useless space. You can't get under the seat and put anything under there because you have a front rail. You can put, yes, you can put 3,700 boxes and stuff, but you can't put any type of storage tackle system in there. The seat does not come with these spacers. These are Navarre spacers. You have to buy these spacers to keep the seat from shifting back and forth. It's an all plastic seat, very comfortable seat, but it's all plastic. And it comes with a strap that goes from here to here. Well, the problem is if you have a strap from here to here, you can't put anything right here because the strap's in the way. So you do a strap delete, you buy 2 cam straps, not a big deal. The other issue with this kayak is the water buildup. Every single review I've seen, and every time I've been on the water, you get water that builds up back here. It's just the way the natural curve of the kayak and how it sits. You know, yeah, you can lift the back of the kayak up and you can push it forward and it'll drain out, or you can soak it up with a sponge and drop it out. But the problem is if you don't have these Navarre kayak risers, your track is going to be sitting in water the entire time, which means your stuff is going to rust out. So again, that's another upgrade that you have to buy if you want longevity out of the kayak. All right, steering on these kayaks, pretty similar. Rudder on the left, rudder steering on the left. Their handles are a little bit bigger, a little bit more ergonomically friendly. These ones are kind of small. I don't really care for this. This is an aftermarket one. The regular knob is even smaller. As you kind of move up the kayak, you have some cutouts on the Native hammer that help with tackle storage here and here. Then you have a forward-facing rod holder, and you have a yak through port, plus you have a room for your boxes on the side. Now, moving the seat. Moving the seats, 2 knobs on each side. You just pull the seat, you slide it on the rail, okay? So, under seat storage, integrated and built into the kayak, already done. Seat, swivels, okay? There's some complaints about the swivel seat. If you're gonna be pedaling quite a bit, then you need to buy the locking mechanism for the seat. That's an upgrade. You know, not an aftermarket part, but that's an upgrade. All right, going back over here. Comparing the 2 decks, this deck is a lot lower. Got 4 rod holders. I will tell you, never use those rod holders. I can't stand putting my rods in those rod holders because when you're trying to put your fishing gear, your fishing poles back here, it's getting hung up on everything. And if you fish with more than like 4 poles, it's a pain. For me, it's a pain. Some people, it doesn't bother them, but whatever. You got through-hole wiring ports on each side of this kayak, along with some cutouts for some 3600 boxes that you can put in there. Forward-facing rod holder, and then you have this sacrificial plate right here that you can mount whatever you want. I had my Yak Attack cup on here. I was going to mount my NK180 throttle on there, but if you see my NK180 issues, you'll see that I returned that thing. The drive system, the difference between the drive systems between these two, I want to say they're similar. I think the gear ratios are similar. This is a little bit more resistance when you're pedaling versus the Native hammer. It feels a little bit smoother. Actually, it feels a lot more smoother, to be honest with you. This drive is bulky, clunky. It's hard to put in the back seat of your truck sometimes, especially if you have a small truck like I do. The storage compartment is absolutely phenomenal. It's awesome. Everything stays dry. The PDL drive has never failed on me. You can buy all these extra orange things on here. That's a floating prop nut. You know, spacers. You got to have spacers in here so it doesn't shift left and right on you. And the beauty of this drive is if you throw it in the water, it'll float. So if you're out in the ocean, that's going to be a little bit more important to you than it would be a drive that doesn't float, which we'll go over the Propel drive in a second. The Propel drive doesn't float. So the Propel drive, the new X-Range drive, sits right here, and we'll grab it because I want to show you guys the drive. I probably won't stick it in there, but maybe we will. But it's also a pretty decent weight to the drive. It sits up here much like the Old Town. You know, there has a couple different stowed positions in this. This is kind of the getting ready to deploy stage. You can also push this down into that stage, and then you can also take this drive and you can pull it. If you pull this pin right here, you pull the whole drive system out. This pedal system stays in place, and then you're just left with a small piece. The bars aren't there and getting in your way. They also have a weed guard cutter on theirs. Haven't used it in the weeds, so I don't know how it works. But, you know, it's all what's important to you. Basically, Native kind of modeled this off the Titan. They had an old hump here. They got rid of the hump. And then now you're left with a small piece in the floor that you lock in place, and you have some storage in the middle here. It's not real deep, but it's enough to put your phone, your keys, your wallet, stuff like that. So I think the differences between the two is you have one extra step that you have to do with this propel drive. You have to pull this plate out, drop it in, put the plate back on. With this one, it's seamless. You just take your hand, pull it, drop it down, it aligns. It's simple, it's fast, it's quick, it's easy. Like I said, the difference is this floats, that doesn't float. This is bulky, this is bulky. So you gotta pick what you want. My recommendation, go pedal each one and see which one you like the best. I was under the impression that Old Town had the best, smoothest. I was wrong. The propel drive is a lot nicer. And I think they've been around a little bit longer. So the other part of the Old Town stuff that we can see here is there's two parts that go through the hole of the kayak. This one is for the EPDL, so you'd have to drill it out. But this is just a through hole port connector for the to get access to the hole and run your transducer down here. Standard hatch place for your expert prop, and really just an open hole. You know, you can put whatever you want down there. You can store rods, you can do whatever. I really like the new designed hatch of the kayak because the old one was just a really small oval, got a lot of complaints. But the new one is really nice. I've never had water down in this kayak, and it's always been really nice. The front rail, you know, it's a handle, but the more I use it, the more it kind of comes loose. It's only 2 screws basically holding it in there. I would have liked to see this with the brass inserts. It would have been a lot more sturdy, a lot better. There's a through hole kit port right here. And there's also a 4-bolt pattern for you to go ahead and bolt up your front trolling motors if that's what you want to do. Rail system is pretty good. You know, all this usable rail track right there. It would have been nice if they had put some right here or just continued it somehow, move the rod holders in a little bit. The Native is kind of the same way. You get a little bit more rail, I think. There's a handle integrated here. This is for your rudder. You can see the floor is raised up a little bit, which keeps this dry a lot more. And then the scuppers for it. You have rail track up here to mount your fish finder, your track packs, whatever you want. If we go and we pull the drive back, we have a sacrificial plate here that we can basically put whatever we want in there. The new lid. Basically, this is kind of what sold me on this kayak is this front portion right here in the back battery portion. You have a removable tray where you can get access to the bottom, and then you have this set up so you can run your transducer, tie off your battery, tie off your cables, seamlessly integrated, really easy, hidden. Another sacrificial plate for when you're going to mount a bow-mounted trolling motor, and then one of the best features of this thing is the hook. So a lot of guys are putting heavier stuff on their kayaks. I have an old leg injury, so for me to get up here and pull a heavy kayak with a motor and, you know, 100-something pounds of gear on it, it's not the easiest thing to do. So, you know, being able to use like a winch or, you know, something else to where it's going to assist you getting that kayak up without breaking your back or breaking your legs is really useful. So the hammer, if you look at it from the front, you can see it's a lot narrower, cleaner lines, which helps it cut through the water. If you look at the Old Town, it's kind of hard to get a shot right here because my garage is full, but you can see it's more shovel faced, so it displaces water really well, but it's a lot more bully going through the water. I love this kayak. I fished out of this kayak for a year straight and fished small rivers, deep lakes, everything. So, you know, the big question is which kayak is going to kind of reign supreme out there. And I don't know if there's going to be a one-to-one comparison, to be honest with you, on these two, because they're kind of meant for two different things. The Old Town, to me, is more of a big water type of kayak versus the Native, which is more of a, not saying it can't handle big water, but it's made for speed. It's made for, you know, performance, whereas this is made for stability. Primary stability in this kayak is better. Secondary stability in the Native Hammer is better. So primary and secondary stabilities. Primary stability is you give up speed. So you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt. Do you want to be faster or do you want primary stability? Now, every kayak is different for everybody who gets in it. So you kind of have to make that adjustment or that decision on how you feel and how comfortable you feel in the kayak. I can say when I took the Native Hammer out and I water demoed it, I could stand up, I could shift left and right. I felt very comfortable. I didn't feel like I was going to flip the kayak. I felt like I would have to do quite a bit to flip that kayak. Now, that being said, it is more tippy than the Old Town. So again, I would recommend you demo that kayak and check it out before you make the purchase to see if you like it. The bad thing with the Old Town is that it's very slow on the water. The weight capacity after everything is done is like 420 pounds, whereas the total weight capacity here is like 500 something pounds. The Native Hammer weight capacity is like 650 pounds. So you're getting like an extra 200 pounds of displacement, which that 200 pounds can make a big difference when you're talking about tackle. Adding a trolling motor that's 40 pounds, adding a battery that's 30 pounds, you know. And again, if you're a minimalist, this doesn't apply to you, which is fine. But if you're not, and you're trying to decide between the two of these, what you should do, well, this one is, I can tell you that this one is for sale right now. It's gonna be going. And this is the one I'm going to fish out of this year, probably for a few years to come at least. I really like the fluidity of it. That kayak is also lighter, I think. Maybe it's not, but it's easier to maneuver. It might not be lighter, but it's easier to maneuver to me. And I don't know if it's just because of those rear handles or what, but you know, I don't know. Get out there, check out these two kayaks. You can't go wrong with either one, you know. I mean, both kayaks are solid kayaks. I'm not knocking Old Town. Old Town has been phenomenal to me. But when I started adding things that I wanted to do because of my leg injury, it started getting close to my max weight. And I carry a lot of fishing gear. As you can see, this is my black pack. I carry a lot of gear. I carry 11 rods. I'm not a tournament fishing, but when I go out, I like to go out. You know, I don't want to have to worry about my weight capacity. I don't want to have to worry about that being an issue. And that's kind of what the Native Hammer is giving me. It's giving me that option to bring whatever I want and however I want to do it. Whereas there's limitations with the Old Town. Now, you know, will somebody be perfectly happy with the Old Town? Absolutely. I was set for a year. What irritated me the most was this water in the back of this thing every single trip. I mean, every single trip. I just couldn't stand it. I couldn't put anything back here because it would get soaking wet. You know, I like warm bags, speed bags, soaking wet. Same thing with the back. And it was even worse when I put the trolling motor on the front. Obviously, I had a lot more water coming up, which, okay, that's going to happen. That's probably going to happen with that kayak. But the difference is I have storage options over there where I can move everything off of the deck so it doesn't get wet, you know. Water gets up here, it's going to sit in here and in here. It's not going to sit in my tray. That's a big difference for me. Might not be to you. Again, this is my opinion. There's obviously going to be a lot more pros for this kayak because I haven't been out in it as much. You know, everything's new and shiny, so of course it's better. And I'm not saying it's better than the Old Town by any means, but I wanted to give you guys a side-by-side comparison of what my experiences was. I will say there's things in the Old Town that I'm really gonna miss. That primary stability is probably gonna be one of them. Will I get used to it in the Native Hammer? Absolutely. I'll learn to adjust. I'll learn to feel. I'll learn to decide what my comfort level is. Things I'm not gonna miss is the the less options for rigging versus the more options for rigging, and the ease of riggability, if that's even a word. The ease of rigging this. I'm not gonna miss this rudder in the back taking up space. I really think they need to redesign this rudder. This is an upgraded aluminum rudder for Navarre kayak, and it helped a lot, but it still doesn't really work. Also, it's just in the way. I mean, in the way of everything people want to do. People want to mount power poles. People want to mount NK 180s. You don't buy a PDL 120 Pro not to put stuff on it and just run a basic kayak. If that's what you want to do, go buy an Old Town 120. Don't buy the Pro model. You'll be happy. But if you're getting into adding things to the kayak and rigging it out for tournament fishing, or just even just fishing that you want to do all the time, this may not be the kayak for you. And I might say that in a year about this one as well. But so far, my experiences when I was in the water, I was just blown away by the turn radius and the speed of this kayak were just really phenomenal compared to the Old Town. I am going to do some upgrades. I'm going to upgrade this seat and put a locking position on it. I'm going to mount my Garmin 9 on it. The other thing that they missed on this kayak is they should have put a paddle. This is so minor. They should have put a paddle holder on the side of the kayak. Okay? So there's times where I want to go in the river and I want to use my paddle a lot. I don't want to have to take my paddle apart and put it back here each time. Now, yeah, you can buy paddle holders that offset the rail, but then they block your rod holders. So to me, that was a big miss. I'm sure I could go over here and I can install a paddle clip on the side and it not be an issue, but I don't know why they just didn't include one in the very beginning. You know, kayaks, you're not gonna have one perfect kayak. Never gonna have a perfect kayak. There's always gonna be something they miss, something that's not right, something you like about this one, something you like about this one, something you hate about this one, something you hate about this one. So the key is finding that comfort in what you wanna do. I will say customer support for both of these kayaks is phenomenal. I've already reached out to Native and asked them questions and they respond quick. Old Town is the same way. You ask them something, man, they respond very fast. Both kayaks made in the US, both pretty much similar cost. Both will get you on the water and get what you want to do. It really comes down to personal preference, which one is better. We're gonna do a follow-up review and see how this is. My buddy Ryan Holder Outdoors still has an Old Town PDL 120 Pro, and I'm gonna be running the Native Hammer, and we're gonna do some head-to-head competitions to see which one reigns supreme, as we like to say. But again, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning into the channel. If there's something that I missed and questions you have about either one of these kayaks, I have a lot more experience on the Old Town, obviously, but if there's something you want to know, measurements, something, reach out in the comment section. We also have the Hooked on Yak Fishing Facebook public page that you guys can join and ask questions. But those are the two kayaks, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. So we're out.